States' rights have evolved into a new mechanism for theocratic warfare, and this time they're targeting a civil rights law enacted in 1973. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we track what happens when religion and politics get in bed and make babies. Ugly babies. States' rights, in theory, are about local control. But in practice, they're being used as a legal loophole to strip away federal protections under the banner of religious morality. Today, we're looking at a case, Texas versus Becerra, a case that could unravel some of the most fundamental protections for disabled Americans. In 2024, Texas, joined by 16 other states, filed a lawsuit against the federal government challenging the constitutionality of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This law protects disabled people from discrimination in any program that receives federal funding, like schools, hospitals, housing, and transportation. About 1.6 million students rely on 504 plans alone, but this lawsuit could blow that whole system apart. At the center of the case, a recent clarification that gender dysphoria may qualify as a disability under Section 504, meaning they could be protected from discrimination in healthcare, education, and housing. Texas says that the federal government is overreaching and forcing states to comply with something they didn't vote on. If Texas wins this case, disabled students, veterans, and people in the LGBTQIA community could lose federal protections overnight. Texas is going after the legal backbone of Section 504 itself. If they win, this could undermine community-based care, pushing disabled people back into institutions, stripping away civil rights protections in housing, school, transportation. And it could set a precedent that federal and civil rights can be dismantled state by state. And you may be thinking, Ryan, what's this got to do with theocracy? And here's the part that's really not being said out loud. This strategy mirrors theocratic legal tactics. They weaponize states' rights to chip away at federal protections, usually under the banner of religious freedom, parental rights, or conscience. The same playbook already gutted reproductive rights, and now it's targeting disability law. What's next? Possibly Title IX, the ADA, or civil rights acts protecting racial or religious minorities. Texas versus Becerra is a direct shot at civil rights protections that have stood for 50 years. And as usual, the communities most at risk are the ones already pushed into the margins. If Section 504 fails, children and adults alike will feel the immediate and brutal fallout. When rights are stolen from one group to give others more domination, yours could be next. Theocracy dressed in righteousness isn't here for justice or truth, just obedience. We'll keep watching here on Theocracy Watch. Stay curious, my friends. And I wanted to give a shout out to Jessie Bear because she was the one who gave me this story. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's just a matter of time, right? Time, force. It's like a battle we're losing. The more they can impose, the more they will impose.
Yeah. Under the guise of religious morality, they're doing this because it's religiously moral.
Yep.
I also saw, what was it, the lady, the speaker for Trump, that blonde lady, the press
Is that
secretary?
The press secretary. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Saw her step aside before a meeting or before a press event and was praying with a group of people, help her find the right words and all this business. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Well, that's not supposed to be happening there.
No, this is really them getting in bed together and creating some ugly babies. And I hate saying that, but these are bad babies. These are Nephilim babies. These are the worst kind of babies. Should not be intermingling, and they're intermingling in this. That's what happens.
Yeah. And it's been going on for such a long time. It's just that it just gets further and further and further into it. Now there's nothing we can do. Scott Scherer says The Handmaid's Tale was supposed to be a warning.
Yeah.
True enough, not a blueprint. But apparently, Vic Litt says I was a 504 student because I was in a wheelchair in high school. My fucking state. Texas GOP sucks. And aren't they attacking their own ADAs and the OSHA? They're going after OSHA. The conservatives are going after all kinds of stuff that protect the people and benefit the people. And
every agency that gives people agency is under attack, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I host the Daily Atheist Morning Show here on YouTube. I have a couple of other co-hosts with me, Durante Lamar and Ryan Kultasty, and we have a lot of fun. When we first started hanging out, he would say, he'd say something like, yeah, we're kind of like Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder,
like,
yes.
I was like, you're right. You make the perfect Gene Wilder to my Richard Pryor. and I just didn't know if I didn't know if he was getting it or not. Every time we would do something like that, I was like, man, me and you're like chess pieces. We're like, I'm the black pieces and you're the white pieces, and everybody would just ignore it and move on. I'm like, come on, people, I'm working here. I'm working. Live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern.